What up, what up, what up? You are live and direct on Petty Sports, the podcast brought to you by KINGZ Broadcasting Studios. It's your boy, the host. They call me Famous Fees. They also call me Facts. Yo, I'm here live with my man Adam. Holla at him.
What is happening, Atlanta? Welcome into Petty Sports. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. You guys already know what time it is. Make sure to check us out on every bit of social media. You know we're out there, all your favorite podcast platforms, live on Facebook now. Shout out to y'all getting the page up to 40K, having about 100 people jump in whenever we go live now. We love the growth, appreciate the support. YouTube doing well also. Fees, I know we got a loaded show. I don't even know what we can get through tonight, man. Tell us what's happening. We got a lot going on.
Oh, no, we're going to get through this show tonight. We're going to package up these takes. We're going to ride. We got a loaded show off the top. About to hit you with a quick hitter. We going into the NFL Wild Card Weekend. We got a special guest I'm about to introduce to you in just a hot second. We come back off the top of the hour break. We're going to talk a little bit of NBA. Kevin Durant out 4 to 6 weeks with a sprained MCL, so we got to touch on that. Then we got to get you with the divisional round matchups. Because the NFL is getting all the way real.
Spicy.
And we got a little quick segment for you with some of the best Super Bowl matchups that we possibly could have. We're going to rank them, tell you what we think about them, give you the headlines. So, man, as I tell you every single week, get your popcorn ready, get you a good drink, get you a good stick to smoke on, take notes, learn something, because it's about to go down. Before I jump into the off the top, we got a special guest with you today, all the way from the South Pacific. We got my man Saipan Brad, called in for the last 2 weeks. He's here live and direct. It's 11 o'clock in the morning out there. What's happening, Brad?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Adam, hey, I like that intro. Adam busting out the gun show, and you guys, throwing all that stuff down. Hey, it's great to be on with you guys today.
Hey, welcome to the show, man. It's great to have you.
Hey, appreciate you coming on, man. Like, hey, we appreciate the love. We're like, man, we got to bring my man Brad on, especially since he's a Bills fan. So, you know, I'm not biased, so we'll let you come on and gloat and talk trash to me, even though y'all trash my team. But that's not yet, not just yet. We're going to start off with the off the top because we got some crazy news coming from the down under. The men's #1 tennis player in the world, Novak Djokovic, was denied his visa in Australia, will not be able to defend his Australian Open crown. Now, let me just give you just a little bit of insight as to what actually happened. Novak was deported from Australia after their government upheld a ruling to cancel his visa. And their statement was that his presence might be a risk to the health and good order of the Australian public and may be counterproductive to efforts at vaccination by others in Australia. The Aussie Open, like they require that all players be vaxxed in order to play, but the organizers are allowed to give exemptions. Novak was given an exemption by the tournament organizers, and a border official in Australia decided that he didn't qualify. So now he can't play. I mean, that is so many thoughts on that. Like, what do you think about that whole development?
It's definitely interesting, for sure, because we have obviously, a sports mogul right now in the world, #1 men's tennis player. He's got a great stage, a great platform right now, and he wants to be able to take advantage of that, go on and defend his title. And this is what we see in the world, unfortunately, with, when the pandemic has come around and affecting a lot of things, but people never really understood, hey, this is going to be affecting some of the biggest players in the game, some of the biggest names, some of the biggest franchises, companies, whatever that you have, established in the sports world. And it is unfortunate, of course, to know that he can't go out there and defend what he's worked so hard for. I mean, everybody that's playing whatever sport they're in, whether it's a championship, obviously winning a playoff game, or just winning a big matchup in general, this is one of those instances to him, and he's not able to take advantage of that. I understand there was some discretion in there as well, where it was kind of a decision from someone to potentially approve him or not. But, understanding. I mean, obviously we don't personally know Novak Djokovic, but being the number one player in the world, being, one of the best tennis players of all time, is where your mental toughness comes in. This is when you talk about maybe some of that, Mamba mentality that's not on the court, but you're still channeling that, just that mental strength in general. And this is going to be a stepping stone in his career, of course. So I think he's going to attack it well, be able to rebound, but it's absolutely unfortunate that, this is a moment in his career to where we can be looking years down the line and he could be X amount of, points or titles short from having that stature that a lot of people want him to have. So definitely unfortunate for a legend, though. I feel for him.
I'm just surprised that a player of his caliber is actually being met with a ruling like this. They gave him an exemption to play in the tournament, and Australia would not let him in. For the number one tennis player in the world and the best tennis player in the sport possibly ever, I would think that he would actually get a nod, especially since he had a medical exemption. It's not like he pulled an Aaron Rodgers and said, well, I've been immunized. Or he didn't come in and act like, I'm just against it. He has a medical exemption and was granted the exemption, and they still didn't let him play. Like, they won't let him in the country.
Right.
Like, they're saying that him coming in will go against their efforts in the country. So, I'm highly surprised at the fact that he just was simply allowed not to even come into the country.
Yeah.
That part in and of itself is mind-blowing.
Right.
Not to jump into all the particulars, I'm surprised that they did it to him. So, any thoughts on that, Brad, before we move into this NFL weekend?
Yeah, I don't think that this may be the first time ever that someone has used the term Mamba mentality and Novak Djokovic in the same sentence. Yeah, that was great, Adam. I don't understand. Well, first of all, MasterCard should make a great commercial out of this when your Visa won't get you through. Also,
oh, Brad,
I'm telling you, it's got to be. The other thing is, legit, the game's going to be outdoors. They're way more than 6 feet apart. All you have to do is kind of stay away and at least test if they're worried about him bringing something in, if he goes through some sort of testing protocol. It doesn't seem like it's such a big deal. Plus, by the way, Australia is a huge place. I don't know if you guys have made it there, but it's huge, and people are spread out all over compared to that landmass. If there's one place where you could probably get away without having to be vaccinated to get into the country, you would think Australia would be that place. And it's a letdown whenever you have your number one team, like if in a sporting event, or a number one player in an event, to come back and try to defend it. So I think that they're just missing out by not having them there.
Absolutely, man. I say boo to Australia for doing that. Should have let him at least come in and play. They gave him the exemption. Let the man play. Man, we're going to jump on into the NFL Super Wild Card Weekend. First game on the slate. We got to start with it. Since we got my man Sidepad Brand at the house, and I got my MAGA hat on as my man, what is it, Kevin Keith? That's what he calls it. Like, I don't know why he got my Patriots hat is not MAGA, so kick rocks. But man,
make Aguilar great again.
So, man, we'll move in to the first matchup that we're going to cover. The Buffalo Bills. They might actually still be scoring touchdowns as we speak against the New England Patriots. 7 touchdowns, 0 punts, and a 30-point dismantling later. We're going to throw it to you first, Brad. Did Josh Allen and the Bills prove that they are truly the best team in the AFC Saturday night?
Well, I'll tell you, Fax, I think what they really ended up doing was proving that they are going into the playoffs with a full head of steam and ready to go. Mm-hmm. Their train fell off the track middle of the season.
Yeah.
They had a couple of disappointing performances. Even games that they won, they didn't look great. But then finally they came back and they put together, I've heard it mentioned many times, and I agree, they threw a perfect game.
Yeah.
They had 7 possessions, 7 touchdowns, no punts, no turnovers. The only time they didn't score a touchdown was at the end of the game when Mitch Trubisky was taking the team in victory formation. So you can't discount any of the other teams that are in there. None of the teams would surprise me if they end up winning the whole thing. Yep. But the Bills definitely proved that they have their stuff together right now. Their ship is tightened up. They got their good running game to complement the passing game. Finally, they have a running game. that isn't just Josh Allen. So I think that they've got it, and going into hostile territory to try and come back and have a great response to last year's disappointing loss in the AFC Championship game in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was a very buttoned-up take. I thought he was going to really gloat on that one and ride with it.
He's being nice, because he wants us to get through the first hour, at least first 30 minutes of the show. We can't just shut down shop. We're packed tonight, man.
I mean, I would have absolutely taken that opportunity to gloat. Let us have won that game.
30 points.
I'm just
30
thankful.
Points.
I'm a thankful losing Bills fan. That's who I am. I'm happy that the team is doing well.
Yeah.
I'm happy that they got their stuff ready to go. I think that you can't have a better, more exciting matchup for this next game between the Chiefs and the Bills. Both teams who, again, the Chiefs, they actually stumbled early out of the gates, and they finally got their stuff together. And tell me, where did McKinnon come from? He's this guy that they hadn't been using, and all of a sudden he is a great piece of the team. Tyreek Hill doesn't have to carry all the load. Pringle is just a cool name that just popped out of a can. This guy is really playing well. He's catching the balls. Robinson is being dependable too. So this game is looking really good, and both teams are looking pretty healthy going into it. So it's like the AFC Championship all over again. And I can't even think about, whoever wins is going to be pretty heavy going into the finals.
Yep.
Okay, I mean, I got a lot to cover when we actually get to the Bills-Chiefs game.
I hate that game has to be so soon.
But, I mean, just as far as what we watched on Saturday night, I mean, it was a total and complete dismantling. Remember, like, when we covered the game last week, I told you that I was like, hey, if Bill Belichick comes with a crazy defensive scheme, Mac Jones has one of the best games of his career, everything really has to go perfect for New England.
Right.
They could pull out a close win, and if that doesn't happen, they get run off the field. Well, the latter happened. Got ran clean off the field. Now, as far as Buffalo showing that they are the best team in the AFC, what they showed us is that they are still the team that we thought they were coming into the season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all the way through the year, we've had questions about Buffalo and their consistency because we expected them to be a 14-win team, and it'd be a runaway where they're either the 1 or the 2 seed in the AFC, and there's no question as to whether it should be Buffalo versus Kansas City to win the AFC. So, I mean, they've got to prove now that they can actually be consistent. We saw them play a perfect game on offense against New England, and they destroyed them. I mean, it was disgusting. But, I mean, if you actually look at what happened out there, it wasn't actually an anomaly from their averages.
Right.
I mean, Buffalo averages 130 yards a game for the season. They had 174, so, I mean, they did outdo that. But they average 27 rush attempts. I know you look at the game and you're like, oh, they actually ran the ball.
Yep.
They had 29 rush attempts in the game against New England. They averaged 27 per game for the season, so that was not abnormal. They allow 17 points per game for the regular season. New England scored 17 points. It's like they were really true to all of their regular season rankings in this game, on top of the fact that they averaged 28 points per game and put up 47. So, I mean, they were just totally, completely unstoppable. The real killer in the game was the third down percentage. They were 6 for 7 on third down, 86%. And that actually doesn't even give you the true efficiency because, as Brad spoke on, when Mitch Trubisky came in and he knelt the ball in victory formation, that was a third down.
Oh.
So they actually were 6 for 6.
Essentially perfect. Yep.
They were 100% on third down. New England could not get off the field. Buffalo capitalized on every single possession, putting up touchdowns. So, I mean, it was just a total and complete dismantling. Perfect game on one side. And New England actually didn't play a terrible game because their numbers were also right on par with the regular season.
Yeah.
It was just a mere fact that Buffalo's the better team, and they actually completely showed up. All parties and all hands were on deck, and New England did not have enough. Like, not anywhere near enough.
Yeah. Yeah, highly agree with you, Fees. And, you know, one player in the entire game that really surprised me, and I know everybody's talking about him, but what a performance by Josh Allen. I mean, in easily the biggest game of his career. Like, yes, the AFC title game was major also, but there were a lot of people, including me, thought that New England walking into this game could actually win because we've seen shakiness. We've seen, you know, not a lot of physicality from Buffalo. We've seen them be soft, you know, game in and game out. We see them go cold for quarters at a time, halves at a time, sometimes a couple of weeks to where, yes, you know, they're maybe picking it up on the back end offensively, but we saw it against the Texans. It was a snooze fest for what felt like 3.5 quarters. You're struggling with the Jags. You're struggling with other teams that those are must-win games for you. And the fact that Josh Allen came out, you know, we know the numbers, 21-25, 300-plus yards, 5 touchdowns. He was essentially unguardable on the ground. But to take away from all of this, the fact that Buffalo did have 174 yards rushing, that's something that they have to keep close to their game plan because we know what Buffalo can be when Josh Allen's airing it out, when you've got a Stephon Diggs and Emmanuel Sanders who has fit in greatly with this Buffalo team. And of course, a Cole Beasley as well, Dawson Knox. We know that they're up there with some of the Seattles, the Kansas Cities, the Bucks in terms of when they're healthy for wide receiving corps. So in order to really have them establish this success throughout the playoffs and ride to the Super Bowl, like I predicted coming into this year, they have to keep on that run game and they have to be a consistent team through all 4 quarters. Don't get pushed around. Don't get soft. And I mean, 30 points on Bill Belichick for the worst loss of his postseason career. Absolutely huge for Josh Allen, and we'll see what the Bills bring us, you know, for the rest of the year. It's going to be a insane time between the Bills and the Chiefs. It's way too early, but hey, we got it right. We're going to see what happens this weekend.
Oh, we absolutely will. So, I mean, sticking with that same theme, now having lost 4 of the last 5 meetings against the Buffalo Bills over the last 2 seasons, should the New England Patriots actually be in panic mode following this 30-point drubbing from the Buffalo Bills moving forward?
Well, you know, that's a really interesting thing. I really like Mac Jones. I like what he brought to the team and how it looked like he was a real quarterback right from the get-go. And if you just flash back to their first drive of the game, after Buffalo scored to open up the game, Mac Jones brought the team all the way down, and it looked like they threw a touchdown and it was intercepted by Micah Hyde in the end zone. It was like he just reached out and stole it from him. But New England was able to march right down the field. But the question is, for me, is what do they really need? I thought their defense was solid. Did they just age out? Because they added all those weapons on offense in the offseason. I thought they were just going to be a juggernaut, push everybody around, and do exactly what they did to Buffalo in Buffalo this year, where they ran at will all over the place to get that win. You're following New England super close because that's your team, and I think that you've got the right thing in place. Even though, you know, Steve Belichick, he looks like that kid that was locked up in the basement on the Goonies. You know, and he's calling the plays. But defense it's sad because it's defense that let the team down. I can appreciate the Patriots for sure, even though they've made a career for Bill Belichick mopping us up all the time, but they have that consistent success that's lasted for the last 20 years. So defense is it the 2008 season all over again? Is it defense that's letting you guys down? What are you thinking about?
I mean, I think the panic meter in New England is contingent. And what is contingent upon?
Well, we're writing a contract, ain't we?
Is the development of Mac Jones. Because, I mean, at this very moment, New England looks like the Minnesota Vikings. Like, when all things are perfect, it's at the perfect time of the day, whether it be 1 o'clock or whatever it is that is perfect for you.
Yep.
Then they win football games. When they get into games against good football teams that are explosive, they have extreme difficulties. The run game is really good. There are no big play players on offense. Hunter Henry, great acquisition. The run game, it's on point. But there's not a single wide receiver that anyone is concerned about breaking a big play at any point in time. So it's like the offense has to go on 8 to 12 play drives every single drive.
Yeah.
The defense has to show up. The offense has to convert on third downs.
Welcome to my world.
Not get behind the clock. Like, it has to be perfect. So, I mean, you look at even next season.
Yeah.
like we've got clearly the 6 games against our division. We got both North divisions. Got the AFC North and the NFC North.
Right.
And the 3 games from where they finish, Arizona, Indianapolis, and Las Vegas. The schedule is it's not friendly. It could very well easily be right around the same as a 10-7, 9-8 type of season.
Yeah.
It's really all going to be contingent upon how much better Mac Jones gets and what other type of pieces you bring in.
Right.
You're going to have to bring in some big play players.
Right.
And they're going to have to take the training wheels off of Mac. So it's not – you shouldn't panic yet.
Right.
But the panic it's right around the corner. We got to see.
Right. I would say
I'm here to be your therapist on this.
Tell us about it, Brad.
It was a rookie quarterback.
Right.
You are so used to having years and years and years of success.
He's got a computer behind center. Now it's not. He's got a laptop.
First round playoff. You're not ready for that. It's okay. It's all right. You're going to be fine. You have a good nucleus on the team. You got the best coach in the history of football.
Right.
You've got a rookie quarterback who they recovered after starting not great at the beginning to having the number 1 position in the AFC.
Yep.
It was a reality that you could have hosted all the way to the Super Bowl with your rookie quarterback. I think it was a good first outing. I don't think it's a panic button yet.
Yeah, definitely not yet. And I mean, you took the words out of my mouth, Fred. Mac Jones is a rookie. He needs to learn to play once he gets punched in the mouth. He needs to learn to play as well in a deficit as he does with a lead. But again, like he's put into one of the most complex systems in the NFL. I understand they are not, an offense that's high flying, but believe it or not, they were the number 6 offense in points per game. So Mac Jones doing what he did in his first year, taking all that under his belt, dealing with, I guess the firing of Cam Newton out of nowhere. Like, did Mac Jones really expect to walk into this NFL season having, a dynasty of just a couple seasons ago, if it's even technically dead, on his back, when the fact that he's able to come in, win 10 games, at least see a playoff game, play in one, there's a lot of teams out there that they feel lost with their first or second or third year head coach and their first or second or third year quarterback. Correct me if I'm wrong, Fees, but I don't think New England feels necessarily lost yet. It is highly contingent, yes, upon Mac Jones, developing. There's a lot of talent around him, a great defense, of course. But I mean, y'all both said it perfectly. They need a vertical player, and they just need to trust in Mac Jones. Don't give him a Tua kind of treatment or a Jalen Hurts type of treatment. Rip the Band-Aid off, which New England has done, and I think the sky is the limit for New England. I mean, I said it the other day on this Justin that's tuned in. Don't be shocked if within the next 3 to 4 years, New England is not only back in Super Bowls, but winning them with Mac Jones in their center. It wouldn't surprise me because we know what Belichick is capable of. We absolutely know what he's capable of, but I did hear that Kobe break. We never miss it, and Brad, you're going to get to sit in on it tonight. 8:24 every single Wednesday in 3, 2, 1. Kobe. R.I.P. to the Black Mamba. The Mamba mentality with Novak Djokovic. Even if it's a first time, it's okay. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. It's the Mamba mentality with Novak Djokovic. First time anyone has ever brought that to the forefront. But it's all good.
Look at me.
Appreciate all of y'all for tuning in to Petty Sports. Man, y'all tune in. It's KINGZ Broadcasting Studios. Y'all make sure y'all go to the website. We got a donate button right there at the bottom. We got merch for you. We got Petty Sports hoodies. We got shirts. We got mugs. We got tumblers. We got everything you need. There's Petty Sports masks. Anything you can imagine, you can go on the website. You can pick it up. You can send a donation. Help your boys out. Y'all see the number on the screen. If y'all hear something y'all want to chime in on, it's 678-871-9602. Y'all watch us. Share us on all platforms. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, 808 to beat or a post. That's what it is. We everywhere. Because, it's absolutely has nothing to do with where we broadcast it. It's where you listen to your podcasts. Wherever you listen, we there. Look us up. It's Petty Sports with a Z. And as my man Mike Beasley always say, support black business, support black business, support black business. And now
we
we
do.
back. Yes, sir. We're going to jump into the rest of the AFC wild card weekend. As a matter of fact, not even AFC. We going to get to a whole nother joint. But before we go, we need y'all to show some love to my man, Saipan Brad. He came on to chop it up with us about the Buffalo Bills. Y'all see his name on screen. It's at Saipan Brad. Go ahead and follow him. Arguably Decent. That's the podcast. Y'all see he come on with the Tim Tebow flow, the nice guy. He don't want to gloat on me. Say, hey, let everybody know how they can find you right quick.
Yeah, you can find us. We got the same thing. We're rolling on Twitter too, Arguably Decent. We're on Instagram badly, but we're on the Facebooks, so you can check us out there. That's me and my buddy Trey, who, by the way, Trey, with that little Georgia connection, is the guy who hooked me up with finding you guys. He used to be, he's a UGA grad. He used to be a mascot over there for the Bulldogs. No lie. And he's great. So shouts to all you guys out there. And lots of love for Georgia, too. I did my basic training down there at Fort Benning and hanging out down there in Columbus. So good to see all y'all. And, man, I really love your podcast. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, we super appreciate you, bro. Be blessed.
Absolutely appreciate you coming on. And shout out to Ugga Trey.
Yeah, that's right. All right, fellas.
See you, Brad.
Take care.
All right. So, hey, y'all see the segment. We brought on Saipan Brad. He came on. He called in a few times. We had to rock with my man, especially as he's a Buffalo fan. Brought him in to chop it up with us. Now we about to move on to America's team. They took center stage on Sunday, and for 3 quarters got thoroughly dominated, embarrassed. Dak and crew, they mounted a little fourth quarter comeback. And it was it was thwarted by bad play calling, controversial ending. So my question to you in this excruciating loss, who should be taking the blame? Is it Dak, the refs, the defense, or is San Francisco just better?
I think it's a little bit of everything outside of the refs. Let's just throw the refs out of the question. They have a job to do, okay? They have to come up. They have to touch the football in order to get your next play rolling, obviously. And we'll start with Dak from the top in terms of who we can blame here. I got to look at Dak for not knowing what to do because he's been in situations where it's late in games, it's overtime, it's late fourth quarter where you're mounting a comeback. The official has to touch the ball in order to get the next play going. I get it. You haven't been in the playoffs in a while. This is potentially the peak of your career outside the rookie year. Emotions are running high. I totally understand all that. But the fact that Dak Prescott, yet again, despite what happened in this game, they were held to 77 rushing yards. The fact that Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott rushed 16 times for 45 yards and Dak Prescott yet again does not have it just doesn't have it within his game to be able to perform without a running back on his side. And that's not a slight at him because we've seen it with Ryan Tannehill. We've seen it with other quarterbacks in the league, Kirk Cousins to where even Baker Mayfield. If they don't have their running back to fall back on the certain carries, the certain yards per game, it's going to be tougher with them. And that just falls Dak to Dak is good. He's not great. I relate him to Matt Ryan a little bit. He can't necessarily be special. It has to be set up for him really on script in order for the Cowboys and Dak Prescott to succeed. And the play calling, of course, is very suspect. I'm not necessarily understanding, again, the running game here. Dak barely completing 50% of his throws, so definitely a huge imbalance in the game. And the quarterback draw that everybody's hating on. You are literally coming down the field, targeting the sidelines, and for some reason, Mike McCarthy, yet again, making Dak Prescott look horrible. Bad play calling. I mean, the quarterback is going to take some blame for that when they have to, execute the play. But overall, Dallas just got manhandled. We do have to give credit to San Francisco. Their D-line was fresh. They were running the ball all over them. Dallas just couldn't get going. I mean, like you said, Fees, literally for 3 quarters, thoroughly embarrassed, and they blew it. They blew it at the biggest season that they've had in the last maybe 10 years from what it feels like. Well, not 10, excuse me. I know we're talking about Des Cotton and all those things. But at least since the rookie year, since a lot of people started hyping the Cowboys truly back up when Dak and Zeke showed up. They failed, and now we have to wait and see if they can even try to scrape this surface again with as fantastic as the season was.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was 23-7 through 3 quarters in this football game.
Yep.
Where the San Francisco 49ers just completely dominated. But as far as where the blame goes, a lot of it's going to Kellen Moore. They ran 70 plays in the game, 49 passes and 21 rushes. That was way off of their regular season script.
Ridiculous.
For the regular season, they averaged 38 pass attempts and 28 rushes. This was far off of what the Dallas Cowboys normally do. So, I mean, you look at Zeke and Pollard, like, yeah, they only had 77 yards rushing. They usually average 22 carries a game combined. They only got 16 in this game. They passed the ball entirely too much. They were extremely undisciplined.
Yep.
I mean, we look at the refs, like, it wasn't a ref's fault.
Nope.
The Dallas was flagged 14 times for 89 yards, and every single one of those penalties was actually a penalty. I mean, like, they were egregious. You're lining up off sides, jumping in the neutral zone, holding, hands to the face where you're pushing helmets up off of people's faces.
Yep.
I mean, and the final play was absolutely Dak's fault. As a quarterback, you run. He should have slid earlier, but even though he still had time, he got up and he just gave the ball back to the center. It was his fault.
Yep.
He should have given the ball to the ref. They didn't even get out. They didn't get out the way. Like, how the hell did you think the ref was going to get over there to put a hand on the ball if you didn't leave him any room? Like, it was you. It was all the way your fault. So, I mean, it was terrible play calling situationally, bad execution, and a disgusting lack of discipline. So everyone's shouldering this blame for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
It was just bad. So, I mean, pivoting on from this game, for the San Francisco 49ers, with a healthy Jimmy G continuing on his winning ways, did this win, did it solidify that both Garoppolo and Shanahan will keep their jobs?
For Kyle Shanahan, yes. And I feel like, it's one of those situations with Kyle Shanahan to where he's in kind of like that gray space where, okay, the one season he was healthy, he damn near won the Super Bowl. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes pulled some magic out of his back pocket. But all the other years, Jimmy G with a torn ACL, he comes back the next year, Shanahan's first year he gets hired, he's like 5-0 with Jimmy G at the end of the year. The Niners go 5-0.
Yeah.
Then Jimmy G hurts himself again and they win like 3 games. Then they come back that next season and are, what felt like going away the best team in the NFL. The offense came around after the defense was getting praised for so long. And then you fall down to now taking an earlier quarterback because you're done with Jimmy G because Jimmy G cannot stay healthy. George Kittle sometimes cannot stay healthy. Health is a big thing for Kyle Shanahan's situation. So I feel like he's kind of safe in that gray area. But as far as Jimmy G, hell no, absolutely not. I think San Francisco is towards the end with Jimmy G. They wanted to trade him a couple of seasons ago. They're just waiting on that right asking price. And Jimmy G's getting to the point now to where it's kind of like that toxic girlfriend that you continue to go back to. You know they're going to hurt you time and time again, but you keep putting their faith in them. But once that switch flips, you're going to be done. You're absolutely going to throw them to the curb. And that switch to flip for San Francisco is getting their asking price in the offseason at the trade deadline, whatever they can get on the market for Jimmy G, because there's a lot of teams out there that would call about him, whether it's a starter, whether it's a backup, whatever the case may be. He's at least been to a Super Bowl, so that's enough of a desperation reach for some of these teams. I mean, hell, if my Saints went to grab him, so be it. We need someone that's serviceable. Jimmy G can be in that position. Kyle is safe, yeah, but Jimmy G, I mean, again, we're going to talk about him getting traded at the trade deadline, and who knows if their asking price comes forward. They might be asking too much.
I mean, Jimmy G is now 33-14 as a starter, 3-1 in the playoffs.
Yep.
I mean, that's a massive
only a Super Bowl loss.
Playoff record. Yes, the only loss was in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So, I mean, regardless of what anyone says about him, he wins.
Yep.
That's what he does.
Absolutely.
And Kyle Shanahan is 3-1 in the playoffs. You know why the record is the same? Because all of his playoff wins have come behind Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yep.
Kyle Shanahan's 39-42 as a head coach of the San Francisco 49ers of 5 seasons. He's only had 2 winning seasons.
Right.
And those 2 winning seasons coincide with 2 healthy Jimmy G seasons.
Yep.
But I think Kyle Shanahan absolutely bought himself 2 more years. But if we're really just going to keep it all the way funky, he doesn't win without Jimmy. Like, we saw Trey Lance come in. He's not it. We saw Bethea. We saw a host of other quarterbacks try it in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan while Jimmy G was hurt. So, I mean, I think it needs to come as a package deal. I know we're all looking at Trey Lance to come in and take over and think that he might just be the next guy, but the next move in San Francisco needs to be to hold on to Jimmy G. That's how you win. It doesn't matter what the stats say. He's winning.
Yeah, scheme with Trey Lance for the time being. And, I mean, don't be one of those teams like, for instance, I still won't understand, but deals work out right after the Minneapolis Miracle. And, of course, the Vikings go on to get blown out by the Eagles in the NFC title game, but they give away Case Keenum. And the Vikings really haven't even sniffed that point of success to where you felt like they were that dominant team. Yeah, maybe a little bit with Dalvin and Justin Jefferson once they came in the defensive culture, but they were never truly that team again after Case Keenum. And you get these quarterbacks out here, you get these teams that you just see a little bit. Again, Jimmy G, been to a Super Bowl. That's enough for a desperation reach for probably 8 to 12 teams in the NFL right now. Let's just be real. That he is in someone's sights, it's just who's going to negotiate, who's going to be a hell of a salesman to win that deal, essentially.
Yeah, but San Francisco needs to hold on to him.
Yep, highly agree.
But, man, we'll move on to the first game of Wild Card Weekend. The Cincinnati Bengals got their first playoff win since 1991.
Let's go, Joey B.
Holding off the Raiders in a crazy game.
Let's go, Joey B.
Game was exciting. Definitely great game to kick off the Wild Card Weekend. Everybody's up in arms about the ref's inadvertent whistle in the second quarter that should have been nullified. But did the refs get it right?
I think the refs did get it right because here's the thing. It was more or less just a accidental whistle from what I understood. They blew the play dead, and people were upset because what happened after the play was blown dead was a score. But we see this all the time to where, like, you will literally have big plays, and in the middle of the big play, they blow it dead, but then they don't want to pull it back. So, again, it's the inconsistency with the NFL to where you'll see a call in a certain situation, but then they don't turn around and make it right. This was one of the rare instances to where I kind of side with the league because I understand the game was decided by one score. You know, it could have been a very big pivotal play, but it is clear as day, like, let's not be prisoners of the moment. Let's not fall back to certain times when there's been awful calls in the NFL. Joe Burrow was inbounds. The receiver was wide open. I mean, he was inbounds. It was very straightforward. So, I mean, if anything, the ref got a little amped up and, like, accidentally blew his whistle. I get it. It's not consistent with the calls, that have been in the NFL. But so what? The Bengals were the better team. They played the better game. They pulled out a slim victory. And I think everybody today is okay with the Bengals being in over the Raiders. Correct me if I'm wrong. Raiders, hell of a season, but I think Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are drawing more ticket sales and views than Derek Carr and Darren Waller. Let's just keep it how it is.
I mean, they absolutely are, but like we got to give it context because the rule on an inadvertent whistle is that if an inadvertent whistle happens on a play, then the play is to be replayed. Like it's dead.
Blow it dead.
If the ball is in the air at the time of an inadvertent whistle, replay the play. Play doesn't count.
So your free play, gone.
If the player, if the ball has been passed and they catch it, then you get the ball at the point of the reception or at the point where the whistle was blown, and then that's where the play is blown dead at. So that's what the actual rule states, and that's why the Raider fans are mad.
Right.
Because the play really wasn't held to the letter of the law. If you watch it, Joe Burrow scrambled to the right, got all the way to the sideline. Right foot went down. He put his left foot up, threw the ball.
Right.
The referee thought he was out of bounds. He blew the whistle like seconds before Tyler Boyd caught the ball.
Right.
So he hadn't quite caught it yet. So if we held it to the letter of the law, they should have had to replay 3rd and 4.
Right.
But come on, football fans. It's ridiculous.
Right.
They should not have replayed the play.
Right.
He was inbounds.
Right.
It was a touchdown. Exactly. You did not stop them, and this has to stop. The only other time I've ever seen this happen was in a Monday night game in 2015, Patriots in Buffalo. Why I saw it? Yeah, because it was my team. We got Tom Brady, same situation, rolled out to the right side of the field. It was a third quarter play, 1st and 10. He rolled out on the 31-yard line, got right to the sideline, threw the ball to Amendola. Ref blew an inadvertent whistle. Amendola catches the ball at the 45, took off, ran a touchdown, and they gave him the ball at the 45 because of the ref. if the ref makes a mistake, it shouldn't cost the team. The refs are allowed to make mistakes.
Right.
If they make a mistake, that's not a technicality to be like, oh, well, you know what? That means that we should benefit from it. It's like, bruh, it was just an inadvertent whistle.
Right.
And especially in the Cincinnati Bengals case, it's not like they stopped playing. The ball was already thrown. Boyd was already open. He was going to score that touchdown.
Exactly.
It was the second quarter. You still lost by a whole touchdown. Kick rocks. Y'all lost, Raiders.
Ken is really over here trying me. Saints, Rams, Saints, Rams, Saints, Rams. Okay, Ken. I was trying to stay out of that void. Everybody watching the show knows I had to witness that. Okay, Ken, I literally came over after the game, and we talked about that. I thought we squashed that, okay? But, it's fine. It's fine. We appreciate the comment, tickling the algorithm there. Man, yeah.
We're going to make sure we get everything in that we got. So we're going to move on to the next game on the slate. This one should be a quick one. On your own way, we're going to just roast your team real quick. Tampa Bay got it rolling on both sides of the ball. Steamrolled an inferior Philadelphia Eagles team. It was pretty disgusting. Philly had no business making the playoffs in the first place. No AB, no Chris Godwin, no Fournette, no Ronald Jones, no problem. Is there any reason why we shouldn't believe that the Bucs are not going to repeat?
I don't see why. I mean, I still trust Tom Brady the most out of everybody left in the playoffs. Quarterbacks rather. Maybe players in general, just when it comes to that position making a big play, or any position making a big play for their situation. Now that Bill's out, I mean, Bruce is pretty good. He's a pretty solid coach. I mean, we know who Bruce Arians is. There's a Matt LaFleur. There's a Sean McVay, of course. But I mean, Bruce, you could argue that he could take the cake for the best coach left overall in the playoffs right now, at least in the NFC, to get to the Super Bowl. That's who he's going to see on the way there. With New England gone right now, you just have to get, more of that confidence is now surging over to Tampa Bay side. I think they have the smartest, the best leader, the most clutch player in the postseason, a guy who you would truly trust the most, and that's Tom Brady. Maybe the best postseason tight end we've ever seen in Rob Gronkowski. Clearly, Brady's safety blanket. But I mean, I don't see why the Bucs wouldn't come out of the NFC. They were my pick at the beginning of the year. They've really still been my pick in the middle of the year. I didn't bite on the Rams. I didn't bite on the Cardinals, the Cowboys, the Packers, because we know what these teams do year in and year out, and we know when Tom Brady gets to those specific moments, he takes his team to the promised land. So, no, there's no reason I can believe that the Bucs are going to be out of it. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely looking like Tom Brady is about to take this team to a repeat. Last year, the defense was absolutely the driving force. Now it's healthy. The dangerous defense. They forced 3 turnovers. They got now, again, Devin White, Levante David, and Ndamukong Suh, Jason Pierre-Paul, Antoine Whitfield Jr., Vita Vea, Shaq Barrett. The defense is back, and the offense is actually playing better than it was last season. So, yeah, no reason why they shouldn't repeat. But real quick, before we go to the break, should Philly be looking for the next quarterback, or does Jalen Hurts actually deserve a little bit more time to develop?
Jalen Hurts definitely deserves more time to develop, but I know we got a caller on the line. I want to bring them in, see if they want to chime in on Jalen Hurts, getting to stick it out. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? I hear you with us tonight. Get you patched through. No worries, bro. We'll continue until we hear him in the background. Jeez, man, this question. The Jalen Hurts slander. The Jalen Hurts slander. Caller, you here with us? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Ken, man. What's going on?
Hey, what's happening, brother? Good to hear you back. Talk to us about Jalen Hurts. Should Philly still stick with him, or is it time for him to go already? I mean, he's only not even started 20 games.
There's a part of me that wants them to stick with him and give him that opportunity. I mean, he's growing. They knew he was a project when they got him. They didn't draft Jalen Hurts to immediately throw into service.
Right.
And they kind of had to. It wasn't really a choice. Now, with that being said, you got to put that leash really short. You can't – I mean, this game, granted, yes, it's Tom Brady. We all know the greatness. That game was not just won by Tom Brady. That game was won by bad play all the way around on Philadelphia.
Yep.
out of the whole wild card weekend. That was the game I actually got to see the most of, that in the Rams game. And I'll tell you, yes, Tom Brady played out of his mind. He played great. And that's playoff time. I know Fees is probably more used to it than anybody because I can't watch a Patriots game. I just can't do it. But with that,
2083,
2083, yes, 2083, yes, I'm over it. But in all seriousness, Jalen, I don't know if the moment should have never been too big for him.
Right.
He played for Alabama. He played under arguably the greatest football coach ever. I'm an Auburn fan, and I'm saying that. Nick Saban is obviously the greatest coach ever. As a former football coach at the middle school level, I always just wanted to pick his brain for a second and figure out how he does what he does.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I think you give Jalen a little more time. Not a lot, a little. But you also you really got to look at the future. I mean, you've got opportunities in this draft for people that maybe aren't starters this coming season, but are a year 2, year 3 starter, a Matt Corral.
Right.
Someone like him would be a good idea for that. He can move in the pocket, but he's also got a cannon for an arm. He's accurate as hell. Had he not got hurt, I think he would have given Bryce Young at least a little run for his money on the Heisman. Let's face it, Bryce was getting that. Too bad he couldn't get that natty with it. But at the end of the day, I like Jalen. I've always been a fan of his.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like he's kind of gotten pulled just a moment too soon.
Yes.
You know, he gets pulled at Alabama for Tua. Yes, they go and win a national championship in that moment. But what happens the next year, the very next year,
Tua shrivels
in the SEC championship game, he goes back in.
Well, yeah, he's talking about the game before.
And he gets that opportunity. Then he goes to Oklahoma, plays out of his mind in an entirely different system, in a system that's more suited to what he is.
Right.
I mean, Jalen Hurts is probably one of the best athletes on the field on any given Sunday.
Yeah.
Use him that way. Make your system work that way.
Exactly.
Every quarterback in the league is a system quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. You find a system that works for Jalen, and I think you find an opportunity to further his development as well as your chances of making it to another Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean absolutely, man. Because, I mean, if you look at what Philly did when they drafted Jalen Hurts, they're a year ahead of schedule easily. And, I mean, it might be 2 or 3 years ahead of schedule. Jalen Hurts' rookie year, Absolutely. They still had Carson Wentz playing.
Yep.
They went 4-11-1, inserted Jalen into the lineup for the last 4 games of the season. It was just a straight-up botched season. They got rid of Carson Wentz and decided to go all in on Jalen Hurts. And then you turn around the next year and go 9-8, catch a wild card berth, while Jalen Hurts is leading the number 1 rushing offense in the whole NFL.
Yep.
I mean, the dude rushed for over 700 yards and 10 touchdowns to go along with his 16 passing touchdowns. He had a very good season. He had nothing to work with. They really were like the offense. It was not buttoned up at all.
Right.
Boston Scott should have been used much differently.
Right.
Jalen Reagor is pretty much at this point looking like he's a bust.
Right.
Outside of that, you don't really have any weapons for him, but you still went 9-8 and got a wild card berth.
Right.
There is no way in hell you move for Jalen Hurts.
Right. And I got to be even a little more optimistic there, Fees, because, you know, I'm thinking of a Devontae Smith. I'm thinking of, obviously, an Ertz before he got out of there. I know he's not still currently there. Reagor still has time to develop. Boston Scott, Miles Sanders. You know, there are pieces within Philadelphia. I mean, even the offensive line isn't horrible. They always grade well in PFF standards, and we know they know something about the game, obviously. But here's the thing about Jalen Hurts. We've all said these great things about him. We're judging a guy who has literally started 19 games in the NFL, just got the nod for his first full season, with a rookie coach who absolutely butchered it walking in, did decently well going 9-8 and sneaking into the playoffs. Yes, a lot of that was to do with the record, but still they took what was in front of them and progressed forward to the next part of their season. And with a mess of a rookie year, I mean, Jalen Hurts, first of all, he shouldn't have been a second-round pick. We talked about what we did at Oklahoma. Yeah. I think he's the Heisman winner if Joe Burrow obviously doesn't happen. Of course, it played out differently, but we have to understand that he does have a good bit of talent around him. He needs to be bought in on and actually built around, and that's where I feel like we're judging Jalen Hurts unfairly.
That's where the system comes in. That's where they need to create that system, work that system to work to his strength.
Right.
I mean, you named all the tools he has.
Right. Hey, Ken, we got another caller coming in. If you bring that in. We're going to take them, but we'll get back to you if you're still on, bro. We're going to take this next call.
Okay.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Call back for us if you can. We got another caller with us tonight. Oh, okay. Tell that caller to call back. Whoever just called in, call back. Fees, let's roll on to the next topic. I know we ran over there a little bit.
It's all good, man. I mean, you know, that's what happens when people call in. They want to chop it up.
Oh, yeah.
Joe, the Kansas City Chiefs, they literally ran out of touchdown fireworks because they scored so many touchdowns against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Ben Roethlisberger funeral. Mahomes was throwing touchdowns. Kelsey was throwing touchdowns. Offensive linemen were catching touchdowns. It was pretty much just disgusting. Right. If you're a Pittsburgh fan, you might want to just cover your ears right now.
Watch out, Jamila.
So, I mean, after the second drubbing this season of the Pittsburgh Steelers, did we learn anything about the Chiefs, or was it just a routine scrimmage against a team that moonwalked into the playoffs?
I'm definitely going to say a routine scrimmage because when you double up your points there, you're definitely going clearly playing better than the other team. And I mean, when we talk about what Kansas City was when, you know, they kind of sleptwalked through some of the season, maybe for a month and a half, 2 months, Patrick Mahomes was leading the league in turnovers with interceptions as well. You know, we've seen teams do this over the last few years to where they kind of get in that part of their schedule to where they know they're clearly better. They're going to probably come out. And I know it sounds silly for a lot of people listening to this, but if you truly stay tapped in to an NFL season, you will see certain teams that just kind of go quiet for 6 games, 8 games, and they might only go 5-3, 6-2 down that stretch, which is still very well enough, but they're more or less preserving their energy for the postseason. And I feel like they have cleaned it up from what they've been. I mean, they're the same KC from previous years, and they're going to make a run through the playoffs. I believe our caller's back with us, though. What's your name? Where are you calling from this evening?
Hey, my name is Isaiah. I'm calling from Orlando, Florida, baby.
Hey, what's happening, man? What's on your mind tonight, brother? Spit at us.
Listen, man, listen, you caught my attention definitely when you was talking about the Jalen Hurts, and I've been wanting to tell people for the longest when you and when people are looking at Jalen Hurts, to me, all he is a mobile Kirk Cousins. So when you ask the question of what I'm saying is, I'm talking about when they talk about should you move away from him or keep him, I'm saying he's just going to be somebody that can win you some games in the season. But he's not a great finisher, and I don't see him winning a championship. But if you want to be consistently above 500 team, you definitely would keep him. But if you're looking to win a championship, Kirk Cousins is not going to take you to a Super Bowl, and neither is Jalen Hurts. He's just going to be above average, just good, never great.
I mean, Kirk Cousins has a sample size from 2 separate franchises with Washington and with the Minnesota Vikings. Jalen Hurts has only got 2 seasons in his first year.
19 starts.
He only played in 4 games.
Right.
It's not
okay.
You don't have enough sample to put Jalen Hurts on Kirk Cousins' status. It's too early.
What I'm saying is what we're doing is we're predicting the future. If we go off of the past, then that wouldn't even matter because we can say we have history. But if we're saying what does it look like it's projected to be in the future, I'm saying his projection when he was in college, he kept getting replaced because he wasn't the finisher. When he kept falling off the map, even when he went to Oklahoma, they were looking at. Did he win it?
Did he win a national championship in college?
Jalen got pulled because he was hurt, not because he was bad.
Answer that question, though. Did he win a national championship at the University of Alabama?
Yes, the team did. Yes.
I mean, when you have the year that he got pulled, did he not win?
Listen. Yes, the team did. When you have 5-star recruits almost at every position, you're not going to have it like that in the NFL.
You could say the same thing about Tua. Say the same thing about Trevor Lawrence. Say the same thing about Joe Burrow.
And look at what I'm saying is history will show. I'm just talking about the future.
Has Tua played in a playoff game yet?
No, he has not.
Oh,
I never said Tua was great.
They put in for him, but he hasn't led his team to a playoff.
I'm marking it down right now. I'm letting you see that as long as Jalen Hurts is in Philly, he is not going to win more than one playoff game the entire time. If that, he'll be in Philly. I'm just putting it down for the future. That's all I'm saying.
So this is the unfair.
And I like Jalen Hurts.
Right.
I wrote him in fantasy football.
Backing it up.
I wrote him.
I like him though. He's gonna be Kirk Cousins, but I like him. Okay.
I just like to be the first one to put stuff out there. So this Isaiah from Orlando. So mark my words. But 7 years from now, when I'm calling and I'm saying, "Hey, what's Jalen Hurts doing?"
Man,
that's all I'm saying.
Okay, so this is the unfair judgment I was just talking about, though, because like we haven't. Okay, so we're judging a quarterback that was picked later than he should have been, who is clearly talented and has shown can be a leader from college. No, not in the NFL level yet. He just started his first full 16 games, just got the nod after a sloppy, disgusting rookie season to where he doesn't even get trusted towards the end, and he's passionately pissed off on the sidelines about not being able to finish that game. It's a rookie head coach. They've not built around him. I understand Jalen Hurts has talent around him, but he was not built around coming into the season. Yes, they gave him Devontae Smith. They have a Boston Scott. They have a Miles Sanders. They did trade away a Zach Ertz, which could have hurt him there. But Jalen Hurts has not been bought in on. I mean, to understand that the Eagles and Nick Sirianni in their situation, as bad as the division might or might not have been, still came out with a playoff berth and 9 games under their belt. Like, people truly forget what Jalen Hurts did in his previous days. And here's the thing to where I really challenge a lot of people. So we want to go here and, oh my God, Patrick Mahomes, first 32 games, he's going to be the next GOAT, right? Joe Burrow, first 18 games, oh my goodness, he's going to be the best rookie quarterback we've ever seen. So I understand that you're judging based off what you've seen in the first 19 to 20 games, but Jalen Hurts has not been bought in on, even like a Trevor Lawrence. He was bought in on. Joe Burrow was bought in on. A lot of the earlier quarterbacks were bought in on, and Jalen Hurts hasn't even gotten that the light of day to think about him being the focal point of that team. So that's where I think the unfair judgment comes in.
Let me say this real quick. What you're saying is what I'm talking about. And I'm not talking about me seeing him playing starting from the NFL. I'm saying since he was in college, I was thinking this way, and so far I've been right. So I'm saying to you, when he wins, then I'll say I'm wrong. But I said in college, I'm like, he'll be pretty good. And so far I'm right. So I'm saying when he becomes great, I'll call and apologize. But I'm just saying this didn't start for me in the NFL. Yeah. I've been saying it since I saw him in college.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Have to win to be great.
Yeah, I highly push back.
I said I don't believe he'll win more than one playoff game. I don't believe he'll win more than one playoff
win, so you can really hedge the hell out of your bets. That's ridiculous. The NFL
is playoff. You saying if you win only one playoff game, you're considered great?
So
Matthew Stafford has been getting praised his entire 13-year career, and he
hasn't been considered great. They might have said he might have been the 8th, 9th, 10th best quarterback. They don't rate him top 5.
People are talking about whether or not he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and he just now got his first playoff win.
Oh, correct.
Miss me with that.
So
you can patch your stats. I'm talking about when people say that you're great. Like Matt Stafford might have more stats than Kurt Warner, but people consider Kurt Warner great. When he's on the field, he has something on the field that you see greatness in. Matt Stafford just put up stats when they changed the rules in the league, and everybody's been passing like crazy since he's been in the league. He's never had a running game until he came to
That's
LA.
not a good claim.
And
Isaiah,
he's never had a run game. He's thrown it 80% of the time.
Isaiah,
so how
right?
can he not have great stats?
Isaiah,
Yes.
right? Okay, right. So
Yes.
I'm just having a hard time getting behind the logic. You just said something. I can't remember exactly what you said, but you were like something about holding him to one playoff game, making that prove his worth. So
I said I don't believe he'll win more than one playoff game in Philly. As long as he's in Philly, I do not believe he will win more than one playoff game.
I can agree with that highly, but I don't understand how can you proclaim a Jalen Hurts who within 2 to 3 seasons could already have a better career than Kirk Cousins if he's focused on. How can you give him that kind of pedestal after 19 games? He hasn't even been bought in on like Trevor Lawrence.
I didn't say statistically.
Daniel Jones was bought in more on than Jalen Hurts, man.
But I didn't say statistically he's Kirk Cousins. I said as far as him winning, being a championship quarterback, being a leader, being a great player, I'm saying he's going to be in the realm. I'm saying him personally, like statistically, I'm saying that quarterback is going to have the same type of career as Kirk Cousins.
That's going to be one of the laziest takes I've ever heard in my entire life.
Hey, Isaiah.
We'll see. I'm going to continue to stalk y'all through the years.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep saying every year, told you.
Okay.
Told you.
It's all good, Isaiah, man. We done reached the top of the hour, man. We appreciate you calling in. We got to go to a sponsorship break. Then we're going to bring this thing back.
It's all good, man.
Make sure you stay tuned in because we got a whole lot more predictions coming down the pipe for you.
Oh, man. Hey, we super appreciate you calling in, Isaiah and Ken. We have reached the top of the hour for Petty Sports. It is 9:01 p.m. Eastern time. If you're wondering where to tune in for just a super hype sports podcast, you can call the show. You can get in the comments. We will engage with you. You got to check out Petty Sports, brought to you by KINGZ Broadcasting Studios. Make sure to check us out everywhere on social media, podcast platforms, everywhere where you can think about finding content. We are absolutely there. Make sure to head over to kingsbroadcasting.com. Drop a donation for us. No donation is too big. No donation is definitely too small. You can copy some new red hoodies that we just got in. We've got cups. We've got tumblers. We've got all the merchandise that you would need. If you want to support Petty Sports, it's been an absolutely loaded show tonight. So make sure to check us out on the platforms there. Give the show a call at 678-871-9602. Fees, I know we ran over a little bit in the last hour. Did you want to hit the Rams or just skip over them and hop into KD?
No, we'll just rock with KD. We got too much content.
Right, we do. We're definitely packed at the top of the hour. So we'll switch over to a little bit of NBA, calm the nerves here, get on a more somber note before we roll into so many matchups. And we got divisional weekend here already. So we know Kevin Durant not too long ago, unfortunately for a Nets team that is at 27-16, number 3 in the Eastern Conference in the NBA. KD suffered an MCL sprain on Saturday and looks like he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks, so maybe about roughly 20 games for this Brooklyn team. But with a James Harden who is still playing at a high level and a Kyrie Irving who's only available for away games, which might be about half of the tenure that KD's gone, are they in trouble? Do they have enough to stay afloat in an Eastern Conference that is pretty surprising so far this year?
I mean, they possibly do because 11 of the 14 games coming up are on the road. So that means that Kyrie will be available for those games. They're playing the Washington Wizards right now. They're up by 6 points. Kyrie has 26. James Harden has 16. It's looking like they might handle business, but just as far as where they are, they're at 27-16 right now, third place in the Eastern Conference. They're a half game behind both Miami and Chicago. So, I mean, looking at where they are, they're only 2 games ahead of the 5th place Milwaukee Bucks. So, I mean, with the amount of games that Kevin Durant has to miss, if the Brooklyn Nets are to go on like a 4-game skid, they could possibly fall out of playoff contention from where they're sitting right now. So, I mean, this is a very serious cause for concern. Like, they need James Harden to return to Houston Rockets James Harden, MVP-winning Houston Rockets James Harden, where he just takes the team over. Because what I've seen out of James Harden's play since Kevin Durant has been gone, and with the new ad of Kyrie Irving, he's basically treating Kyrie like he's KD. James Harden is playing the exact same game. He's distributing, passing the ball, looking to Kyrie to score the points the same way he's been looking to Kevin Durant to score the points, and he's not really been taking the shots like that. Like, James Harden is going to have to get a lot more aggressive on the offensive end. They have the tools. If James Harden says, hey, I got to click back in to my old mode and be the old me for about 4 weeks to make sure that we're still in position, then, yeah, they absolutely will still be sitting in the same spot they are, because James Harden is more than capable of making that happen. But it's all about the mentality of how he approaches, because right now, he's still approaching it like KD is there. For every game that Kyrie plays in, he's deferring to Kyrie like he's Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And he's got to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely agree with you there, Fees. And, speaking of James Harden referring to Kyrie, James Harden has had, and I know you alluded to, some of the time in Houston, that is part of, what kind of holds that speculation in the air for some people on James Harden is we know he's one of the best offensive players we've ever seen. We know he is, great at passing the basketball. We know that he can be the best player on the court really whenever he decides to be, because he's that talented. But the question, and for me has been, and I know for some people out there as well, is, what is James Harden when it is just him? Because from what I've seen, it's never truly just been James Harden. It's been either James and KD and Russ, or James and Chris Paul and maybe a number 3. And now you've got James and KD again, and now you've got Kyrie Irving. So he has always been associated with some other sort of, maybe not superstar presence, but at least presence on his side. And he's still even having, that same situation with Kyrie. So, he still has it in his favor to rather defy this moment with having his best player or the team's best player go down. But, like I mentioned, with them sitting at number 3, 27-16 record, and you brought it to light there as well. 11 of the 14 games Kyrie should be available. So this seems like a very doable stretch. And it would kind of be shocking, if the Nets didn't, capitalize on this type of moment that they're experiencing. Not necessarily capitalize, but understand that it could be worse. I thought it could potentially be about 20 games without KD. It just depends, of course, on how he rehabs when he decides to actually get back in the lineup. But, if you, like you mentioned tonight, you've got Kyrie obviously running the points up. James Harden will always play at a high level. He'll always distribute the basketball. It might not be so bad if if Kyrie Irving is getting kind of looked at like a Kevin Durant, because if you're still out there winning games, if you're still keeping your number 3 spot with that chance to host, a playoff game or potentially a couple with your seeding, it's going to be worth it all in the end. So I think they can stay afloat for sure. But it is going to be a testament to James Harden. It's just going to go more into his legacy on, okay, what were you when you had that superstar player go down? Because Brooklyn's not in a bad spot. I mean, they're pretty favorable right now. They might not be title favorites, but if they ended up in it and won, I don't think anyone would be surprised. So it's definitely a big moment right now for the Nets. But rolling out of the NBA, we've calmed our nerves a little bit just to hop back right back into another major segment. Of course, that has to do with the NFL, and the Super Bowl is coming, ladies and gentlemen. The Super Bowl will be here, if I'm not mistaken, in like 2.5 weeks. Maybe 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. What is
February 13th.
Okay, February 13th. Okay, so we've got 3.5 weeks. Yep. Okay, I was looking a little earlier. There's 8 teams left in the NFL. 8 teams left in the 2021-2022 playoffs, and we're going to give you our top 4 Super Bowl matchups. And Fees and I actually were able to use every team, so you're not going to really get duplicate matchups here. Fees, we'll start with you. Go from 4 to 1. Give me a little bit on the backstory on how they got there, and who could we potentially see in SoFi in Super Bowl 56?
My number 4 matchup for the Super Bowl, the Los Angeles Rams versus the Buffalo Bills. Now you're like, what? Who the hell wants to see that? LA would be the second ever and second consecutive team to host and play in a home Super Bowl. That is a major narrative. They would eat that all the way up. That would be a major storyline. The Rams would have beaten the division rival Arizona Cardinals. defending champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers and potentially Green Bay to get a home Super Bowl. So, I mean, that would be huge. There would also be the narrative between Matt Stafford, where he could silence the critics, which would be absolutely me, because I am the critics, that he's been given a pass, that he's never actually been as good as he's been given credit for, because to this point, he's not done anything that Jared Goff hasn't done. We're giving him credit for getting his first playoff win. He only threw 17 passes because Sean McVay protected him, covered him up, and he actually protected him more than he's ever even attempted to protect Jared Goff. Goff has never had a 17-attempt game in the postseason.
Thank you for mentioning that.
It's ridiculous how much credit Stafford is getting for winning that game. But then we got Buffalo on the other side. Buffalo will be making their first Super Bowl appearance since 1993, when they lost their fourth consecutive Super Bowl appearance to the Dallas Cowboys. They would actually, it would be a battle of two huge arm quarterbacks. You got Matt Stafford with a rocket arm, Jarrett Allen with a rocket arm. Got two explosive offenses, two of the best defenses in the league. Sean McDermott versus Sean McVay. McDermott is a product of Andy Reid. McVay is supposed to be the young prodigy of a head coach. You got Josh Allen versus Matthew Stafford. This would be an awesome matchup. They would have storylines out the wazoo for it. This would be my number 4 matchup. So who you got at 4?
Number 4 for me is going to be an interesting Super Bowl matchup. So I'm going to bring in the Los Angeles Rams, and they are going to face off against the Tennessee Titans. And the way I see this one playing out is Matthew Stafford finally caps off his wildly speculated career by finally making it to the Super Bowl, has that Cinderella run that, Fees and I don't believe is possible, but who knows? Within this situation, he's going to make it up there. And McVay is now being praised more than ever around the NFL. And I think their defense turns into one of the best, if not the best overall. I'll stick to the best there in the playoffs now. And it's just going to be that moment where Matt Stafford has defied the moment for him, but now has a defense standing behind him to where he understands that if he's got to drop back maybe only 15 to 20 times a game like he just did, that he still has a high chance of winning that football game. And then we take a look at the Tennessee Titans. I believe Derrick Henry can come back on a tear this year, absolutely making the entire league literally sit on the sidelines and watch them as they pound the football down the field methodically, slowly, bruising the defense, wearing them down. And in the meantime, Ryan Tannehill kind of comes back around, gets a little more comfortable, and makes it to where if you're not having Derrick Henry massively producing, you've got Ryan Tannehill kind of having some of those playoff vibes from a couple seasons back to where they were in the AFC title game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And again, they are going to be making people sit on the sidelines, watching them play hard, smash mouth football. Now, when the Rams and the Titans do meet, when you've got a Matthew Stafford, when you've got a Derrick Henry, essentially the best players on both sides of that ball, I do expect Stafford and McVay to pull the W out here. They're just going to be the better team overall. And again, this will be another big moment to where if Stafford's going to go all the way and make it to the Super Bowl, we'll just put the icing on the cake for him. Matthew Stafford will win his first Super Bowl potentially against the Tennessee Titans this year. Fees, number 3, and give me that beautiful Hollywood storyline behind it.
Number 3, I got the San Francisco 49ers versus the Tennessee Titans. Jimmy G and Kyle Shanahan make the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years. The 49ers, the third time in 10 years. We got Debo versus King Henry. That's my bike punk. Versus my man Derrick Henry, who stiff arms people all the way through the sidelines. We got Mike Vrabel, who's attempting to become the first of the Bill Belichick disciples to actually win a title. We can look at this game and actually even call it the Game Manager Bowl. We got Jimmy G versus Ryan Tannehill. Neither one of them are considered to be a top flight quarterback, but they win. Winning is all that actually matters, and that's what these dudes are doing. They win. Jimmy G versus Tannehill, absolutely game manager bowl. And San Francisco would also be on the quest to move into that neighborhood that only Pittsburgh and New England live in, where you've got 6 Super Bowl championship banners hanging in your stadium. They could enter the chat. There would now be 3 teams, so that would be an absolute narrative to the San Francisco 49ers making it to the Super Bowl for them to move into that rarefied air with 6 Super Bowls. So that is my number 3 matchup. San Francisco 49ers, Tennessee Titans. I like it just a little bit.
Absolute nuts, man. I'm going to do a little switch there with you, and I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers as well, but I'm going to have Jimmy G facing off against Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, the entire spicy offense out there in Cincinnati. And I think Jimmy G in this scenario would get carried by his defense after squeaking past a super suspect Cowboys team, one that I was never bought in on, one that I didn't think could play defense to win them a game, and one that I didn't think that would truly go all the way and have Dak Prescott elevate them to the Super Bowl. So that's why it's going to be a suspect Cowboys win. Or a suspect Cowboys loss because the 49ers come in and win that football game. Now, I do think the offense, much like Tennessee in this situation, would pound the football and really make a lot of teams from the sideline just watch, have to understand that that's going to be a slow game to where your defense is going to get bruised, abused, worn out, and you're going to have to come up with some sort of scheme, to curtail that strategy. I think elite defense, I think a clock-draining offense would get the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl. And now we talk about, of course, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. They already seem damn near unguardable. I mean, Jamar Chase in his first playoff game absolutely went off, just like in his first regular season NFL game. And we know what Jamar Chase is going to be. This is a top 5 to 7 wide receiver, hopefully, walking in next year, not having, and it's not that Justin Jefferson had a fall off, but when the rookie season is so strong, you do look for that same kind of feeling, production to come back to the team. But when we talk about Zach Taylor being in this situation, actually coaching his ass off to be here for the Cincinnati Bengals, should be coach of the year, in that low-key Bengals defense that people still, don't want to give credit to, but they're out there winning the stances when they have to. They might bend, but they don't break. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Zach Taylor, and that very underrated Bengals defense make it to Super Bowl 56 and SoFi, and I'm going to take them for the W. They complete the Cinderella story. Joe Burrow in his second year as a starter, kind of following along a Patrick Mahomes, maybe a Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers trend, will go along and win the Super Bowl. That is my scenario there for number 3. Now on to number 2, when we're going to get some nice prime elite Super Bowl matchups here. Who you got, Feast? Tell me the storyline behind that one.
At number 2, I've got the rematch. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs. We saw it last year. We saw the annihilation. Kansas City, they've got revenge on their minds. The way they got beaten at Super Bowl, they would love nothing better than to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers again in the Super Bowl and overtake them. But look at the matchups that we get for our storylines. We got Brady versus Mahomes. Brady leads the series 3-2 all time, 2-0 in the playoffs, including the Super Bowl victory. Tampa will be attempting the repeat for the first time since 2003, 2004, when the Patriots did it, which was also a Tom Brady-led football team. So he would then own the last 2 repeats in the league. This will be the 3rd consecutive appearance in the Super Bowl by the Kansas City Chiefs. And if they were to win from Mahomes, that would be 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, appearing in all 3, which sounds utterly amazing till you think about the guy that he's playing against on the other side of the field, who just recently did that. From 2016 to 2018, Brady played in 3 straight Super Bowls and won 2 of them in the same fashion. But from this game, we would get narratives about, would Brady actually retire after winning his 8th Super Bowl ring.
No.
Which is utterly ridiculous. 8 wins? Like, no team has more than 6, and the team, like, one of the teams that has 6, he got them. And he's looking at going for number 8. What we also would do is we would give the Pat Mahomes GOAT conversation legs.
Yep.
The legs would grow and they'd be very strong.
Yep.
2 rings in 3 years. It would be Mahomes beating Brady to get his 2nd ring.
And 2nd Super Bowl
which would
MVP.
then be talks of him taking the torch from Tom Brady.
Sheesh.
And we're now talking about the Kansas City dynasty. 3 straight Super Bowl appearances. The year before the first one, they went to the AFC Championship where he lost to Brady. So it was like, it would be a whole nother story on where we would cover this. I mean, Pat Mahomes would be on pace to break every single passing record that there is.
Right.
And the only quarterback that would be on pace to potentially even rival Brady's postseason record, which I don't think will ever get touched.
Right. Wow. I almost threw the rematch in there for me. But you know, I did see yours beforehand, but damn, you just sold that well. I mean, geez, the legs for the GOAT conversation. I mean, if Brady wins number 8, he's not going to retire. You know, we said it when we first started working together, man. I have Brady winning 9 at the minimum. If he goes double digits, I mean, it won't surprise me. Number 2 for me, though, is actually going to be my original prediction from when we first came into the season. I've got the Buffalo Bills facing off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think this will be a situation where Josh Allen, after that win against the Patriots, he's going to continue on a tear. I think this Bills team can average 30 to potentially 35 points per game in this postseason. Now, I think the defense will still be tight, but they do finally defeat their cold spells, and they roll into the Super Bowl with the best offense in the postseason in this situation. Now, in terms of the Bucs side, Tom Brady will be guided, or rather, will guide his entire team. Everybody will rally around him with the energy, the leadership, the passion of the game of football. We know Tom Brady has some sort of magic, some sort of pixie dust that he sprinkles over. It seems like multiple teams he can go to now. I mean, he's 1 for 1 with a new team, so we'll see what happens here in this year. But the offense will actually be the 2nd highest scoring offense in the postseason. So you're going to have 2 teams who are very capable of putting up 35 to 40 points in a Super Bowl, and we've seen Tom Brady do it against a Nick Foles and an Eagles team. Of course, with a defense just as relentless as last season, still being able to force turnovers, getting after your quarterback, and just overall breaking your game plan from the start and always giving Brady that advantage that he's had. And there's no shock that the Buccaneers will be in the Super Bowl. That's who I have favored to go on, who I have favored to win. They're number 1 in my rankings from what we did last week. And the overall result is Tom Brady will win number 8. Josh Allen will get a nice ride, though, and a lot of people will be talking about Josh Allen in the MVP conversation, and is he potentially a top 3 to 4 quarterback in the league at the time? But the number 1 Super Bowl matchup that you would want to see, Fees, give it to me, give me the storyline, sell it to me like you did with the Chiefs and the Bucs.
Number 1 Super Bowl matchup for SoFi Stadium. The Green Bay Packers versus the Cincinnati Bengals.
Big Rodgers versus little Rodgers.
Who? Yes. Green Bay versus Cincinnati. Aaron Rodgers finally returns to the Super Bowl, attempts to be the first MVP to win the Super Bowl in the same season since Kurt Warner back in 99. Because, I mean, for all intents and purposes, we all say that Aaron Rodgers is going to win the MVP this year. Granted, I think it should be Brady, but it looks like Aaron Rodgers is going to win it. Will Aaron Rodgers stay in Green Bay if they win? That's another massive narrative to this game. Then we're going to talk about, where does Aaron Rodgers rank all time with his 2nd Super Bowl win? Does that take him into the top 10, into the top 5 if you already had him in the top 10? Where do we rank this guy over the course of his career if he gets a 2nd Super Bowl title? And we also want to know, will Matt LaFleur or the defense get any credit if they win a Super Bowl? Or will it just be all Aaron Rodgers?
Right.
And on the flip side, if they lose, will Aaron Rodgers take any credit for the L? or will they act like it was bad coaching and the defense didn't show up for them?
Yep.
Because it's usually one or the other. Aaron Rodgers gets the LeBron James treatment in the NFL.
Yep.
But look at the other side of this thing. We got Joe, all I do is win, Burrow, making it to the Super Bowl. He transferred and then was a champion. And then he was injured and would be a champion. That's all this dude does is win.
Yep.
Joe Burrow had the greatest season we ever saw in the history of college football, 15-0 at LSU, went to the NFL, promising rookie campaign before he got hurt, came back this season, won the AFC North, now is in contention to win a Super Bowl after they brought his homeboy, Jamar Chase, into the house. Because that's what we call it. It's reunited, and it feels like LSU. Burrow plus Chase equals a ring.
Yep.
That's what they do. These dudes get together and they win championships. I mean, that's all we've seen them do. When these guys play together, they win.
Yep.
15-0 at LSU together. Now they're in Cincinnati. Not quite the undefeated reign, but they still in heavy contention. Joe officially would enter the Pat Mahomes debate. With a Super Bowl win in his second season as a starter, Joe Burrow would join Tom Brady, Kurt Warner, Russell Wilson, and Pat Mahomes as quarterbacks to win Super Bowls as their second season as a starter. And now we would officially have to acknowledge Joe Burrow as that guy moving forward, MVP candidate in the realm of the elite quarterbacks, and all of a sudden a star is born. The Bengals are, I can't even say they're back.
Right.
The Cincinnati Bengals have been created via Joe Burrow. Went from a Bayou Bengal to a Cincinnati Bengal. Give me Joe Burrow for the title, baby.
Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase with the win. And Jamar Chase probably goes out, has a major, major game.
Super gritty.
Literally. Cutting up Kevin King and everybody else in the Green Bay secondary. That would be a major win for Zach Taylor. I think that would be a major payday. Burrow and Chase would just kind of be escalated to another NFL tax bracket. I mean, that would be huge for the city of Cincinnati because, I mean, thinking about it, Cincinnati in Ohio, yep. So last championship they really dealt with was obviously Cleveland out there, when LeBron James was in the house. Now, the number one Super Bowl matchup for me, and man, do I feel like Nick Wright putting this as number one, but this has been his for 2 years in a row. And I feel like if we're talking about gunslinger versus gunslinger, potentially, again, GOAT versus kid, just like we saw last year, give me the Green Bay Packers going and facing the Kansas City Chiefs. And I feel like at this moment, Aaron Rodgers will have finally defeated his demons, got to his second Super Bowl, now be 2-5 or 2-4, I believe, in the NFC Championship. And his defense will stand up for him. He will have a major game. Devontae Adams will have a major game. Aaron Jones will come in and not have to make Aaron Rodgers throw 35 to 40 times in this game, but will still be comfortable enough with the attempts to take his team to the Super Bowl and potentially win it as well, but getting there against Kansas City. And we've seen Kansas City come back around this season to where obviously they've overcome the turnovers. They have gotten back to their, explosive ways with the offense, and even their defense at some point in this season has been to the point where you're saying, okay, if they played like this just for the next few weeks since we were so late in the season and they started to come around, this is a Super Bowl, potential caliber defense, and that is what you have wanted out of Kansas City because when you look at the Super Bowl year, they were, towards the bottom of the league in defense. Again, going into last year, they kind of, came around to that top 15, top 10 team. But when it comes to this run that they're going to go on in the playoffs and you're seeing the Packers in the Super Bowl, I don't know if it's necessarily enough to overcome what the Packers will be overall just putting on the field as a product. Give me Aaron Rodgers with the Super Bowl win. People are finally rejuvenated again. Well, not finally, rather, because we just had the Milwaukee Bucks go in, so now they're feeling great with Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers gets a little further into the GOAT conversation, but is, of course, still one of the best regular season quarterbacks of all time. That will be my prime Super Bowl matchup. And, I mean, you could flip 4-3 potentially, and you could flip also potentially 1 and 2, but nonetheless, 8 super packed Super Bowl matchups from Petty Sports, and hopefully one of them will turn out. You never know what could happen here in the league.
Gotta be right.
They got to be, man. They got to be. And, you know, we'll be up here chopping it up about the Super Bowl, about the matchup, about the result, and everything we were right and wrong about as we get through the end of the season and get into the offseason. But we have reached 9:30, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be the middle of the second hour for Petty Sports. We want to thank y'all for tuning in with us tonight. You know, we go live every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Call into the show. Ask to be a guest on the show. Shoot us a text about a topic maybe. Hop in the comments. Whatever you want with Petty Sports, we're here to make it happen for you. And again, we're brought to you by KINGZ Broadcasting Studios. If you're looking for an awesome studio to invest in, get a great team behind you for a video podcast, audio podcast, whatever you're trying to explore potentially in that broadcast space, give them a call. Visit the website, throw in a donation. We've always said no donation is too big, but definitely no donation is too small. Look, that might be the other way around, but either way, we welcome the support from you guys. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, every social media platform, every single podcast platform. And you know what Petty Sports is about. Hopping into now the divisional weekend of definitely not college football. This is professional football here. We are in the NFL playoffs, and we are now separating our pretenders from our contenders. And I'm pulling big for the Bengals in this one. But, Fees, I'll get your take first. We got the Bengals Saturday on CBS traveling to Tennessee to visit those recently healthy Tennessee Titans. Julio's back. Derrick Henry is back. A.J. Brown is going to be looking good. Who do you got overall in this one? What are the keys to victory for a very hungry Bengals team and now a resurging Titans team?
Man, I'm going to start off with the keys for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals need to just go out there and stick to the script. Go for the home run balls, throw deep early and often like they've been doing all season long. I mean, Tennessee's defense is against wide receivers. They're 31st in receptions, 31st in yards, and 28th in touchdowns given up. They do not defend wide receivers well. That bodes well for the Cincinnati offense. Cincinnati does not need to come out, try to get cute, change up what you do. You line up. You have Jamar Chase. You have Tyler Boyd. You have T. Higgins. You've got better wide receivers than what Tennessee has DBs. You come out, play your game, go for the deep balls, continue to do your thing, let Joe Mixon handle his business, get an early lead, and that is absolutely key. Take an early lead so you can eliminate the threat of the run from Tennessee because they're behind and they're trying not to waste clock in order to come back, and the Cincinnati Bengals will be your divisional round winner.
Got to agree with you, man. Definitely got to agree with you there. And, you know, the points that you mentioned there are very great because you do have to understand that, you know, there is going to be a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. There is going to be, you know, and I'll start with the Titans here. There is going to be that sense of resurgence with Tennessee. There's going to be that, you know, let's get back to those Super Bowl hopes. Let's get back to that potentially best offense in the league like we were talked about when Derrick Henry came over. When Julio Jones came over, when we knew he was going to be next to A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry now coming back. And that Titans team was still able to win some football games. And, I mean, hats off to them. They clinched the number 1 seed, bought them an extra week for their best players to get healthy, and now they're going to be going up against a team in Joe Burrow and those super-duper hungry Bengals. I think for Tennessee to be able to win this game, they have to overall incorporate every part of the offense, because I don't think this is going to be an instance. And a lot of Tennessee fans, shout out Wes, shout out Allen, are going to be thinking this in the game. Henry's going to come in. He's going to get his 25 to 35 carries a game. He's automatically going to go off for, 120 to 170 yards. And Ryan Tannehill is going to be comfortable. That's what the Titans are going to do. But people, and again, we continue to doubt this Cincinnati defense that week in and week out, they bend, but they don't break. They've won big games when they had to this season. For crying out loud, they just won the toughest division, the most, yes, potentially up and down division in football in the AFC North, but that's a lot of tough defenses that you have to, put up with. And Joe Burrow was able to overall do that, in his division and with that, piggybacking, obviously, of the defense. So Tennessee definitely has to incorporate all the offensive pieces. For the Bengals to come out, I think they need to stick to what they've always done. Joe Mixon is obviously becoming a good dose of what he's been. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, CJ Uzomah, they are definitely out there becoming one of the most explosive offenses in the league. If they can stick to those bend but don't break defensive roots, continue on what they've been doing, and Zach Taylor doesn't need to outthink the room. You played a good start against the Las Vegas Raiders. You've come in. You've obviously won a game. Now you're going to travel to the number 1 seed. Look, think about an upset here. You're in the AFC title game, but don't necessarily peek ahead to your AFC title game because you do got to focus on a super tough Tennessee team here. Give me the Bengals, though, with the win. I'm right there with you, Fees. I think Joe Burrow, in his first year as a starter, goes to an AFC title game. I don't think that's a stretch, and a lot of Tennessee fans will be upset with them at the 1 seed, but I think the Bengals are the better team right now, even with Derrick Henry in that tank coming back into town.
Well, for Tennessee, I didn't actually give you my keys over there. I only gave you one side. Say for the Tennessee Titans, I think they don't need to rely on Derrick Henry alone coming off injury. Like they need to spread the love.
Right.
They need to really spread those carries because Derrick Henry cannot come fresh off of injury and give you 25 to 30 carries like what he's been giving you.
Right.
They need to try to limit the big plays on offense for Cincinnati. Like you're going to have to double, possibly triple team Jamar Chase to make sure that he doesn't kill you. And I mean, you really are going to have to look at the interior rush defense of the Cincinnati Bengals. They have 3 injured defensive linemen. You're going to have to run early, run often, run the entire game. Like you have to do your best to exploit that. And I mean, above all, the Tennessee Titans need to make sure that they do not get behind. If they get behind, the run game is out the window, and now you're relying on Ryan Tannehill, and I don't give a damn if you got Julio Jones and A.J. Brown out there. It's not going to work. Then Burrow and Chase, I see them continuing the Cinderella run. Joe Burrow will throw for over 300 yards. Jamar Chase will go over $120, 2 touchdowns. Cincinnati with the upset, 27-20. Cincinnati Bengals are in the AFC Championship game. Book that.
I'm with you, man. I'm 100% with you. I think Burrow and Chase, like you both just said, man, they light it up. I just think they are the more energetic, explosive team. I think the defense is on their side, and I can even go to the point of saying right now, with what we've seen from the consistency and the overall chemistry throughout the year from the Bengals, I think they're just in the best position to win this game. And this is, again, another team where, the Raiders were a warm-up for them. Now the Titans are going to be a little more of a step up. And when you're looking at potentially a Buffalo you're going to be looking at a Buffalo or Kansas City in the AFC title game, that kind of does feel like that is the next, best stepping stone for them to just essentially get that experience in the postseason. Now, sticking with the same day of NFL football, but we're going to transfer into the night on Fox, and Green Bay will now have a chance to host the San Francisco 49ers, and this has been a team that has given Green Bay some problems, and they just can't be peeking ahead to the next round again. This is kind of like when we mentioned some teams in the wild card weekend. You got to understand that every game has to be won. Do you trust Green Bay enough in this one? Is San Francisco able to dominate like they like to and control the clock, or does Green Bay overall just come out and play angry football and finally win this one?
I mean, it's a very tough matchup to gauge. I mean, they played earlier this season. Green Bay won the Week 3 matchup 30-28, and that game was extremely tight. I mean, Green Bay won the game on a 51-yard Crosby field goal.
Yep.
And that was after Jimmy G led a 2-minute, 75-yard, 8-play drive for the go-ahead touchdown. And, I mean, with that, these teams are very evenly matched. So, I mean, look at San Francisco. They've got to really give a heavy dosage of Elijah Mitchell and Deebo Samuel. Got to have a lot of elaborate run calls, which like Kyle Shanahan is known for that. So, I mean, San Francisco they'll have a run package that Green Bay has never seen. They need Jimmy to take care of the football. So long as Jimmy does not turn the football over and does not have to throw the ball too much, then that game is looking like it's in San Francisco's favor. They got to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers and bracket Devontae Adams the entire game. Like, you're going to have someone over and under, double, possibly triple team. I mean, that's who all the targets go to. It's insane to me how teams let Devontae Adams get so many catches every game, knowing good and damn well that that's the only person that Aaron Rodgers is looking for. Make him throw the ball to someone else. So, I mean, if San Francisco does these things, then San Francisco will be successful in the game.
I got to agree with you, man. I got to agree with you. It's going to be a tough game for the Green Bay Packers, no doubt, because we've seen Aaron Rodgers time and time again to where, we feel like after the game, once he's played, we don't know if he's really played his best game. We don't know if him and his team have truly left it all out there on the field. And this is going to have to be one of those games because, like we have here bringing it up, you got to ask the question, is San Francisco going to be able to be that physical team, run the ball, and control the clock like they've done in previous meetings with Green Bay? And we know Green Bay has about a middle of the pack, rush defense. They can, be some of the best on their good days, but overall, Green Bay is pretty decent, obviously, at stopping the run. And I think they're going to have to come forth with a physical approach, with an approach that is going to be able to stack the box, but also be able to understand the type of play calls that are coming your way, because Shanahan is not just going to be a guy that pounds the football time and time again. You can't forget about a Deebo Samuel and the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo can put it in George Kittle's hands when he needs to, and that they do have overall offensive weapons outside of the run game and pass catchers that can make you pay. So San Francisco could potentially have their way, and I think they do for the most part, but I don't know why I almost said the Ravens. The Packers do curtail that with the aerial attack, with the fact that, yes, we know that San Francisco's secondary, can play at a high level, but it's not the San Francisco secondary that we've been seeing from the past few years, and obviously Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams are on a tear, and they essentially do what they want in a game. As far as the Packers coming out, though, you do have to ask yourself, is this going to be another playoff game to where, okay, are the Packers leaving it all on the field? Is this the best game plan that LaFleur, that Rodgers have come forth with? Because I feel like the defense is kind of out of the question. We know that the defense is one of the best that it's been within the last few years. Last year was absolutely great for Aaron Rodgers, and he still couldn't do it at home. Yes, it was against Brady. Yes, it was against the Super Bowl champs. But when things are lined up for Aaron Rodgers, you continue to ask yourself, will he have that best game on the field and take his team to the place that he needs to and show that they're overall just different this year? I do believe in that for Green Bay in this moment, because they just can't lose, obviously, to the San Francisco 49ers. I take LaFleur over Shanahan. I obviously take Aaron Rodgers over Jimmy G. And even when you get to the offensive talent of the Packers, they can compete in the run game. They've got, offensive weapons out there that are outside of Devontae Adams, where Aaron Rodgers will kind of get comfortable and, recognize who he's playing with. But overall, I will have the Packers winning this game. They do go to the NFC title game. Now, whether they win in the next stage is another question, but I want to make sure. So, Packers for me.
I mean, the keys for Green Bay, they've got to find someone other than Devontae Adams to catch passes, whether it be Randall Cobb, Valdez-Scantling, doesn't matter. Someone else has to step up in the passing game, because I think San Francisco is absolutely going to try to take Devontae Adams away. They've got to protect Aaron Rodgers, because what we've seen in games that Green Bay loses, Aaron Rodgers is under duress. He doesn't get time, and he throws the ball away a lot. Aaron Rodgers does not want to throw interceptions because he's very cognizant of his passer rating. He's all about that thing. He doesn't want it to go down. He will not throw an ill-advised interception. He'll just throw the ball away, and they'll lose possessions. They've also got to keep balance on their offense just between the rush and the pass. I mean, over the course of the season, they've been doing that. mean, they've been they're 15th in the league in rushing attempts and 17th in passing. So they're middle of the road on both levels, which means that they are extremely balanced when it comes to their pass to rush ratio. So, I mean, all in all, these teams are very, very evenly matched. San Francisco comes in with all the makings of an upset. But that being said, everything would have to happen in favor of San Francisco in order for them to win that game. And there's still one X factor that's not being accounted for, which is a 12 factor called Aaron Rodgers. So I'm going to take Green Bay to win the game 33-23. The Packers are advancing to the NFC Championship game for a third straight time.
Shoo. That's a decent win for them as well. 33-23 over San Francisco. That'll be a solid one for Aaron Rodgers because San Francisco, we just sat here and said that San Francisco is not going to be a team that's going to be a rollover. Their defense is going to make you sweat. They're going to get after the quarterback, and it's going to be a tough game for sure. But I do have Green Bay winning as well, going to their third straight NFC title game. But the question will continue to be, and of course we'll peek in as the weeks go on, is Green Bay able to finally win it with LaFleur and give Aaron Rodgers more than one Super Bowl appearance? Now we go over to Sunday, and we've got those LA Rams traveling to Tampa Bay to try to dethrone the defending champs for now the second time this year. They did get the win towards the beginning of the year, but Tampa was not very healthy. They were missing a lot of their secondary, and that was just the first few weeks of the league. We really didn't understand the identity of anybody yet. Let's start with Tampa Bay, though. What are their keys to advancing to their second straight NFC title game?
I mean, for Tampa, they've got to keep Brady upright. Everyone knows the formula on how to beat Brady, but there are very few teams that are actually able to execute that. You keep Brady upright, get a heavy dose of playoff Lenny, because Leonard Fournette is going to be back. Brady is going to go a lot to Rob Gronkowski. When you get in games like this against tough defenses, he throws the guys that he's comfortable with. He loves Mike Evans. He loves Rob Gronkowski. You're going to get a lot of that all game long. You'll get playoff Lenny doing his thing. And they've also got to get pressure on Matt Stafford. If they pressure him and make him force throws, then we get what we saw out of Matt Stafford in the regular season. He throws bad balls. He makes bad decisions. He throws pick sixes. He threw a lot of pick sixes. Like, he led the league in them. And Sean McVay really tried to actually cover it up and mask it in the last game by only letting him throw 17 passes in his first playoff game as a Ram. So it'll be very interesting to see moving forward if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are able to force the Rams into a game where they have to pass the ball more, and you force Matt Stafford into a lot more passing situations. He's going to give the ball away, and that's what Tampa needs.
I agree, man. I highly agree. And the keys for Tampa, and it's a lot into what you were saying there as well. Tampa does have to come out, though, overall with that smash mouth offensive, game plan that we've really seen from them all year. I think overall a big reason why I trust Tampa is they've been one of the most consistent teams in the NFL this year, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of, the situation, the injuries, whatever it might be. I mean, you said it earlier, literally, no Rojo, no Leonard Fournette, no AB, no Chris Godwin. And I understand they're playing the Eagles, but I had a sneaky suspicion to where the Eagles could have played a tight game there. I mean, they had certain parameters of their offense that could have challenged Tampa, and they didn't. And I feel like that's where it's kind of Tampa in the field in this point. And they do have to keep Brady upright because we know that obviously the Rams love to rush the passer. They have a great defensive line. Donald is going to be doubled, maybe hell, even if not triple teamed on some plays to where they know, he is going to have to be a priority for Tampa. But I don't necessarily have any, like upholdings rather with Tampa. I don't necessarily doubt them in this case. I think they're the better team clearly than the Los Angeles Rams. I trust Arians over McVay. I obviously trust Brady over Stafford, and this is going to be a great quarterback matchup to where I feel like Tom Brady has that advantage. The Rams might get the advantage of the rushing side of the ball, and it could be very even as well when it comes to airing the ball out. But when it comes down to that one play in the game, Tom Brady or Matthew Stafford is going to have to make that throw. I don't put that in Matt Stafford's hand. I mean, let's think about it. Week 18, you literally underthrow OBJ on a forced throw to lose the game. And the San Francisco 49ers obviously come into the playoffs. Keys for Tampa, though, obviously big smash mouth offensive game plan. The defense, which usually clicks on all cylinders, I think they have to channel a lot of what they saw last year, with the turnovers and just being that physical defense. And then, just playing a great game overall, really relating back to that offensive game plan. Now, when we talk about LA, what does LA have to do to potentially keep riding it for Matthew Stafford and beat the Bucs, the defending champs here?
Man, for LA, they got to protect Matt Stafford and limit his attempts. He should not have more than 25 passing attempts in this game. No, he only had 17 last game. He's going to have to throw the ball a little bit more this game. Shouldn't have more than 25 pass attempts. That means that they're in a good position. They've got to pressure Tom Brady. They've got to get pressure on Brady up the middle to force him to actually scramble to the outside, pressure his wide receivers, and knock them off of their routes, because that's what Brady likes. He knows where they're going to be. He knows the timing. When you pressure him up the middle, you make a move. That's what throws everything off. They've got to lean on the run game as much as physically possible. And this has to be a game where Sean McVay gets over himself and tries not to overcoach it.
Phew. Sean McVay. Yeah, I feel you, because we've seen that with coaches before where they just try to outthink the room, a Sean Payton, a Matt LaFleur, potentially Sean McVay. Even some of these coaches that came in on the hot seat. Now, I do think the key for the Rams is they have to figure out how to stifle Brady. They have to figure out a way, to knock Brady off, because I do feel like the Bucs team they don't necessarily live and die by Brady, but he is their best player. He does engineer the team. He does have that energy to where everybody buys in around him. And the Rams have to somehow figure out how to knock Brady off of that sort of stature, because if they don't, I mean, no matter what Brady might or might not have, like, they are, in my opinion, the clear favorites to win this game, to go all the way and win it. So they have to obviously come out and essentially try to pull a Belichick move on Brady, make him play left-handed, make him realize that he truly is short-handed with all of that talent, break down his offensive line, and also obviously have enough of a smash-mouth offensive game plan on the flip side to be able to, go through that Buccaneers defense. It is going to be, a fairly close game, I feel like. But moving into the final topic of here, to win
I haven't made a pick there.
I'm sorry?
Haven't made a pick there.
Right, I'll let you go first then, before I roll over into it.
On the Rams Tampa, I haven't made a pick.
Right. Well, I was about to make the first pick, but ladies first, brother.
Oh, no, I thought you said moving into the final game. Like,
no, not final game. The final aspect of the game, my bad, which was leading into who do you have winning the divisional and going to the NFC title game?
I mean, I'm absolutely taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is two of the league's top defenses that we're going to watch. The game will be really close. It's going to be a defensive battle. It's going to come down to third down efficiency and ball security. There's going to be a fourth quarter interception by Matt Stafford that will change the game.
Yep.
Tampa wins 24-19.
Highly agree with the pick there, and I can obviously side with you as well. We don't want to keep sitting here saying that, Stafford's going to screw it up, but realistically,
he's gonna screw it up.
Right. Realistically, like, Stafford has wet the bed in multiple big game situations this year. And it's to the point where, if we're literally going from, Matthew Stafford versus Tom Brady, it's a very clear pick there. A clutch throw, Matthew Stafford versus Tom Brady, it's a very clear pick there. Intelligence. Everything we can go through with these quarterback attributes. I will agree with you, though, Fees. I think Matthew Stafford will maybe not just himself lose this game, but a play that will be largely attributed back to his actions, I think, will come forward in this game. And Tampa does win, going to their second straight NFC title game. Can't give you a score prediction. Playoffs are absolutely too nuts for me. But Tampa does win this game, and, it could be by 7+, no doubt about that. Now, going on to Sunday night, and we are going to pop back to CBS. A lot of people thought this would be our AFC Championship rematch, but we're going to get it early. Two teams who absolutely exploded in Wild Card Weekend. Josh Allen and his Buffalo Bills versus Patrick Mahomes and his Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Buffalo did win the Week 5 matchup, but how do they repeat that same success and get to their second straight AFC title game?
I mean, Buffalo has got to sprinkle the runs in with the explosive pass offense. They showed us that they actually can run. I mean, that Devin Singletary has been serviceable along with Josh Allen. I mean, they call runs. He runs when it's unorthodox, and they just flush him out of the pocket. Josh Allen has really been what the run game is for them. They got to limit Tyreek Hill's touches, bracket him. Like, pretty much just take the formula that was given in the Super Bowl, do what everyone else has done against them, do the same thing that you did against them in Week 5, get pressure on Pat Mahomes, and Buffalo will easily come out of this game and take it. As far as Kansas City, their keys are just score, score, and score. It's going to take 40-plus points to beat the Buffalo Bills, so you're going to have to score.
Yeah.
You cannot have that stagnant offense that we've seen for the majority of the season from the Kansas City Chiefs. Pat Mahomes does not look like Pat Mahomes for most of the season outside of the 2 Raider games and the 2 Pittsburgh games. No, 2 teams that aren't really that good. If you play against a legitimate team like the Buffalo Bills, that's not going to fly. You're going to need your offense to be clicking on all cylinders. You need to protect Pat Mahomes, which he hasn't been all season long. And you got to contain Josh Allen in his running. Not stop him, not pressure him. You need to contain him. Stop him from taking off and running and make him pass the ball. If he doesn't go over 50 yards rushing, then your defense is actually containing him. But, I mean, all in all, I mean, we know the Bills went to Arrowhead in Week 5, and they won. They're the better football team. They have confidence. They got a chip on their shoulder because of what happened in the AFC Championship game last season. And they're really just like they're on a much better stride than what the Kansas City Chiefs are. I've got the Buffalo Bills winning this game 43-28.
Oh, my God.
I don't think it's going to be that damn close. The Buffalo Bills are going to go into Arrowhead and smack the Chiefs. Saipan Brad, book it.
I can totally see why you think why. And as we round out here on the show, Buffalo definitely is going to be looking for that revenge game, that rematch, because, we could clearly see last year that Buffalo is not on the same level as Andy Reid or as Patrick Mahomes or even necessarily offensively. Yes, they have had the defensive edge, of course, but this is going to be a huge game for Buffalo where they're absolutely looking to recoup and win the rematch so they can get to their second straight AFC title game. So sticking with Buffalo here, I think they just obviously, and it's fairly simple for Buffalo. We know Buffalo can be the best team in the league or one of the best teams that can beat just about anybody when they're playing their best football. But that's kind of the catch with Buffalo is when do they play their best football? When are they going to be consistent for 4 straight quarters, 60 straight minutes? You get a whole Josh Allen. Receiving core never really falls short. But again, staying consistent and then venturing over into our next point here, what else do the Buffalo Bills need? The fact that they had all of those rushing yards in the last game gave them a large edge, and Kansas City has fallen susceptible for the run for about 3 to 4 straight seasons now. They've kind of tightened up on it a little bit, but it hasn't been a thing to where Buffalo can't expose that. And if they mix in a dose of Josh Allen with some Devin Singletary and potentially even some end arounds for their large receiving core out there, they can get to a point to where Kansas City will kind of feel like they're on the ropes, where they're going to be on that Achilles heel of a rushing defense. So I think consistency overall. I'm not worried about Buffalo's defense. Now, they do need to stay physical, not necessarily get pushed around, but the defense has held it down for the most part there. And as far as Kansas City, I highly agree with you, Fees. Points, and more points, because Josh Allen is clearly going to be on a mission. And no matter where the Buffalo Bills start or stop, they feel like a 30 to 40 point per game type of team. Now, Kansas City can't keep up with that. But on the flip side, like I was just mentioning with Buffalo, they do have to curtail the rushing attack that I feel like Buffalo hears a lot of the media talking about now. They understand that that's been an Achilles heel of them for the last couple of years, and they need to break it out to where they can be that team in December, January, February to chase those title hopes that they have. Kansas City definitely needs to tighten up on the defensive end. I think it's going to be more of Kansas City's defense versus Buffalo's offensive consistency that will truly come down to this game. The pick is so extremely hard to me, but I feel like Kansas City has overall more of just a presence on Buffalo in this game. You're not dealing with it wasn't a bad coach, but you're not dealing, you're dealing with Andy Reid, an offensive mastermind. You're dealing with Mahomes. You're dealing with all of these weapons on Kansas City to where I don't feel like Buffalo is consistent enough and plays well enough to win this game. So give me on the flip side, the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't like to hit you with score predictions there, but I will take the Kansas City Chiefs in a potentially close one. Could see it at a 30 to 40 point type of game for each team. But we got about a minute here left on the show. Fees, say goodbye to the people before we get out of here tonight, man.
Hey, man, it's been real. We appreciate y'all. Much love to all the callers. Shout out to Saipan Brad coming on, rocking with his Buffalo Bills. He saved my new best friend. That's what's up. Hey, it's been a great show. I hope all of y'all come back next week because, we going to chop this thing up. We're going to do what it do. It's your boy, Famous Fees. They call me Facts. Holla at us next Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. We out
of here. Every platform, every podcast platform, King's Broadcasting Studios. Check out the studio. Make a donation. Subscribe to us. We're here for the NFL playoffs, baby. We ain't going anywhere. NBA's ramping up once the NFL season is done, but we've got so much more coming with the NFL content. We'll be back next Wednesday. Peace out from Petty Sports. Wait, hold up. Oh.